Our next QueenPin speaker is Judi Richardson. She does a lot with change and growth. She has worked with C-level executives. She has been a C-level executive. She still does that from time to time. She has worked with elite athletes and helped them with their performance. She is about results, and I am fairly confident that she is not afraid to tell you like it is, which is excellent. She probably needed those tasks because she got a new puppy not too long ago and had to train it. So hopefully those skills were transferable for that. So she's going to talk about the audacious ask, which is kind of a nice follow-up to in case you need to ask for help from somebody. Judith, please join me on stage.
So Wendy had asked me to do some different things today, and Wendy also knows I can get off track fairly easily. So we're going to put some things up so it definitely keeps me on track. My sons love to call this my woodgy stuff. So I spent the morning on the phone with a diverse corporate team. I do a lot of work in the corporate world, speaking corporate speak, but helping people get out of corporate speak to a certain extent. And I was working with a diverse team. They're around the world, and they have projects going where they need to, it's stalled, and they need to learn and work with how they can motivate their teams differently. So I thought, okay, so if I'm going to be doing that for the morning, I would really like to do some woodgy stuff. So what you see is a water crystal. And I invite you to Google Dr. Emoto, E-M-O-T-O. This is scientific. So basically what he has done is a study over the years where people have meditated positive thoughts on water and cleaned it up. So it's way beyond anything I would normally do in the corporate world, but it's fun. So today's quick journey, Wendy asked me to also talk about some of my work from the field to the boardroom. We'll look at a little bit of why behavioral change. I'll share some techniques, and then really looking at potential in terms of the ask. This is an important one. Every single day, peak performers that I work with, whether elite athletes, coaches of elite athletes. Yes, I coach football at university, which is really fun. We talk about intention constantly, and really stating your intention at the beginning of the day, as you're going through the day, and how you choose to show up. So even today, even in this moment, how you choose to show up, just a tad differently. Energy flows where attention goes. If you and I are driving along in the car, and I'm driving, and you say, Jude, look over there, and I look over there, my car is going to turn. That's on autopilot all the time. You're choosy about the food you eat, you're choosy about your wear, you're choosy about your shoes, you're choosy about your accessories. So the invitation is to be really choosy about your thoughts and how you nourish yourself following Stephanie's great chat. I'm going to acknowledge you for not only being here for networking, but this time of reflection. Another of Stephanie's points to really take time for yourself and not wallow in what's going wrong. So from the field to the boardroom, and the one example I'll take is an Olympic medalist who was moving to a senior position in Ottawa. And I'll tell you a little bit more about her, but this was her journey and some of the techniques. Before I get there, I'm not going to take you into the science. Yes, I could bore you forever again, as my sons would say, in terms of the science around behavioral change. And really, when you get deep around it, how easy it actually is with, as Stephanie mentioned, some of that support. But you can't live, see, or experience outside of your own individual beliefs. So that's usually where we start. Peak performance, you don't see these around here too often, but you know, on the Autobahn, the 401, etc. I think we can all agree that if we're looking at peak performance, a Lamborghini is definitely part of that. Perfectly tuned engine. So why? Why would the Lamborghini not be reaching its top speeds? Why would it not be achieving that peak performance? Well, there's a couple of reasons. The driver might need to upgrade their skills. They might have some fear in going fast. It could be any number of things there. Or something is governing. And this is outside of the mental health issues we heard earlier. However, there still can be the governor. That's what stops a Lamborghini. That's what stops all of our vehicles from going any faster than the speedometer says it can go. Well, depending on what shoes I'm wearing on what day. So what limits? This is based on the science of cognitive behavioral change and my work. Beliefs, values, habits, perceptions, and emotions. And beliefs are simply practiced thoughts. So let's play with changing those. They govern your performance, and they can also sabotage it. Our brains are conditioned, we know that. They're conditioned in a number of ways, and a lot of people don't even realize that you can be both comfortable and miserable at the same time. So we tweak. There are behaviors that you unconsciously do, so people will say with me, well, where did I get these? How were they imprinted? And there's a couple of examples there. The big piece is that it's always being imprinted, especially once we're taught authority. Watch small children, none of this matters to them at all. They'll just toddle off and do what they want to do. Watch a golden retriever. Sit. Oh, I don't think I will now, thank you. I'm learning a lot through this whole training bit. The question is how you retune those thoughts. So that elite athletic client that I was talking about earlier, this is what led this company to call me in to work with this senior vice president. And this is what her staff and her managers and her leading people were experiencing. There was no consistency of decisions. She would manage projects in the beginning because she was really excited to start there and then back out. There's a number of things here. But her ability to be strategic and how she moved forward was very much compromised. So we'd explored together all those things that apply to her as in terms of her success pattern. Her ultimate state, and she came to this, it was her passion, fine-tuned physical state, positive mental state of expectation, trust in her performance, and those supporting her, many that echo exactly what Stephanie just talked about for any entrepreneur. One of the first things I found out is when she entered the corporate world, the first thing she gave up was her physical fitness. So before I would even work with her, she had to get on the treadmill, walk, run, or whatever, but she was losing, as Emma can tell us, some of that state by not even being there. So this was part of her success pattern, and you heard some of it from Emma again. The strain and pain of training, intense mental power, difficulty in access to resources, coaches with different philosophies as she changed coaches. That's a huge strain. It also is a pattern of chaos. She excelled through a pattern of chaos. And she was creating that all around her. However, when she started bringing other people in, that's when it caught up with her. She took her pattern of success over here and tried to apply it over here. Organizational culture. So what that tends to mean is the very thing that I was recruited for is getting in my way. So I remap those to overused strengths, not weaknesses at all. So this is a little bit of what we do in behavioral coaching and areas of influence. So we choose to reshape that mindset. That's the beginning. Obviously, we have to go through behaviors, etc. The evolutionary focus model is one I work with, that on the bottom, you're seeing me and something that happens. Because I'm an evolution, I believe that everything that happens is there to cause me to evolve. The important thing is where I give my attention. Do I give it down below, or do I focus on the evolution? I can choose to talk about the growth, focus on the growth, or I can walk around all day long and tell you about somebody who is really working against me, somebody who's a jerk. So here's some of the techniques we use with that athlete. An interesting one. What if you were to look around this room and really embrace that every single person has something so magnificent in them? And this is the work I get to do. When you get touched that, when that person touches it and you touch it with them, it's beyond magic. Collaborate with potential. Too many of us are colluding with issues. So ask somebody when they come up to you, stop them if it's the same conversation over and over again, and say, how can we have this conversation so you're telling a different story next time? Strategic acknowledgement I use in most of my companies, and it's a way of encouraging and directing behavior in many different ways. Doesn't always work with the golden retriever, I found. But when you work in that way, and it's simply, here's an example of where we look. Am I focusing? Am I observing? So I'm going to ask you to look around the room right now and look for the color red. Many. So there's cherry red, there's Christmas red, there's maroon, there's fire engine red. And then as you do that, close your eyes for a second and commit to memory where you saw red. And then as you open your eyes, can you tell me where you saw blue? So it's there. It's all around us, but I asked you to actually look for something different. So if I'm teaching you I'm a jerk, and that's where you're focused the whole time, I can't be anything different. You can't see me without potential. So the audacious ask, this is one habit I'd love to change, because I've worked a lot in negotiation around the world. I've worked in over 12 countries, and just watching how women do that. So there's a number of things here from research. We all know the social forces that tell us as women that we should be taking care of others. This is an interesting one. Research shows we're more likely to downplay our certainty, where men are more likely to downplay their doubt. You have conversations on a daily basis, and I'm going to draw your attention to the habitual narrative in your mind over and over again, because you have full control of that. So let's look at today in Halifax. There's a lot of challenges we have, but we're rocking it. We have a long way to go still, but we're rocking it. We also have the CEO of the IWK Foundation in the audience here, and there's probably several others. So we've got some really women in good places, really good places. So making the ask. We were having this conversation with the CEO activators, so that's where this list comes from. And it's similar to, again, to what we just heard Stephanie say, create the emotional connection. Align your vision and the ask. Be specific. You might get to that point, as Stephanie did, that you just have to surrender. You have to ask because there's nothing else coming. And then express gratitude. Let yourself dream. Let yourself dream only in the amount of time it can go. For today, this is my wish for you. And that will soothe and change a lot of things. So if we demonstrate my ask, I'm here to work with you and perhaps your teams to have you performing like rock stars. Call me.
Well, stay where you are. Anyone have any questions for Judi?
I'm the lucky one. Oh, there's one.
About 2 slides ago, there was 5 or 6 points that specified how to make the ask.
Yes.
I heard you speak to 2 of those in a way that really resonated with me, but can you go through that list, just each of the points there briefly? It just had, there we
Yes.
go. I just would love to hear you speak on all 6 of those
Sure, I'll do it really
points.
quickly because I know we're limited. So, we can change the order of those, but the first thing is you have an emotional connection to the dream, to what's happening. You have an emotional connection to yourself that you need to let yourself get by without creating chaos to do it. But then if I'm coming to Wendy with an ask, there is already some kind of emotional connection there. Because I know Wendy, and I might just be saying, I might just be asking her for a referral to somebody else, or come visit my store like Stephanie, but there's some kind of an emotional connection. Aligning the vision and the ask means I'm asking something that's in alignment with the dream, the question, I'm looking for a job for my son for the summer, those kinds of things. That might be the aligning piece. Be specific, that's where we sometimes as women fall down. Always be specific in your ask. Can anybody give me an example? Sorry? What's that? Stephanie? $78,000. Right, yes. Definitely. So it might be a specific, it might be a specific amount of money. It might be a specific referral. It might be in a specific area. Inform them of your progress. If you've asked me something, and it's amazing how that works, and it's emotional connection again. If I've asked Wendy something, and she has said, yeah, I know somebody at that company, I'll give you an introduction, then I make sure I go back and say, Steph, that was great. Thank you, whatever Stephanie is here. And I love talking to that person. I called and I got a hold of them, and here's where we are. Celebrate the results. So far, many of us as entrepreneurs especially are just moving so quickly. And I'm also going to go back and celebrate them with Wendy or Stephanie or whoever else I'm speaking with. Express gratitude. There's still that handwritten cards or something from Stephanie's shop. Yeah. Does that help?
It does.
Yeah, great. Thank you.